Hey, good now?
Yes.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. All right, guys. So, welcome to Hispanic Hackers. Our event this month is coding interview practice. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Laura Evans, and I will be hosting for the first time as a part of Hispanic Hackers. So, I'm really excited about that. And here we go. Hopefully, everyone gets something really good out of this session. And I'm going to pause our music and get started. So, we are graciously hosted and sponsored by Capital Factory, located down in Austin. So, we definitely want to thank them for sponsoring us and making Hispanic Hackers possible. They're a great resource for those that need some capital for their businesses. They do a lot of work with entrepreneurs, startups, and things like that. So, definitely grateful for them taking part of our organization. In all of our slides, if this is your first time joining us, welcome. On all of our slides, you will see QR codes to our meetup pages and different other social medias as well as we go along. So next up here, we have a little overview of today's events. So this event will be recorded, and then it will be uploaded to our YouTube later. The chat log is also saved, though not published, in case you need something, a reference that was shared, something to that event, something like that. You can always email us, and we can get that information for you. You can ask your questions anytime. Either Tim or James or Eddie are going to be, or myself are going to be in the chat, just kind of keeping an eye out for anything like that. But feel free to interrupt me at any time. We're all here just to learn and really just, as it says, we want to make our mistakes here so that we make it through that interview, get that job, get the money bag, right? So basically, there is no speaker today except for me, but you guys are all the stars of today's event. We want you guys to practice a little background on this event. This was actually the very first event that I um, joined when I first got to Austin and I first got into tech a couple years ago. Um, and this is how I met Eddie, and this is how I met Tim and James. And after this, I was hooked. I was like, oh my gosh, this team is amazing. What we do is awesome. Why is there not more events like this? We're always looking for people to join our team and be on the board and whatever your passion is, whether it's content creation, teaching, sharing experiences, or just want to hang out with us, you're more than welcome to. We're always looking for more help. But sorry, back to this. So so no speaker, the event flow. So we're going to split off into three different breakout rooms. Our interviewers for the day so far are Eddie, James, and Tim, and they are going to ask a algorithmic type question that you will commonly see in your coding interview challenge. Depending on how much time it takes, we'll have 1 to 3 rounds, and each round will be about 15 minutes. I will hang out in the lobby for those that do not want to be watched while they interview. You guys can hang out with me and we'll talk about networking tips. We'll talk about LinkedIn. We can talk about past experiences, share tips, and things like that. Yeah, and then at the end, we will all get back together in this room and talk about how it went and share any additional tips or stories. All right, any questions on that? Anything to add? Hearing none, moving on.
Well,
Nope.
sorry. Yeah. Do we want to talk about some general interview tips also, like before we get that started?
Yeah, it's in we're gonna get to that.
Okay, we're getting to it. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it. That was just the general flow of the event, but we're gonna get into that. So, a little bit about us, though, is we are Hispanic Hackers, and we are basically a group of software engineers, hardware engineers of Hispanic ethnicity, And we want to showcase, we created, well, actually, Eddie, who's our founder, he created this group to expand and showcase our knowledge, experience, and just build a professional network. Even if you're not Hispanic and you were here and you got invited by someone, it's fine. We need more allyship, right? To, for the Hispanic community, especially in tech. And here we have Eddie Reyes, who is our founder. James Lockwood, myself, and Timothy. Where you at? There you are, Timothy. I can't see you. You're like up there. All right. So this is, again, if you guys want to join our board and just help us put on these events, by all means, reach out to us. We'd love to have you. All right, these are our goals. So at the beginning of the year, all four of us got together and talked about what we wanted our goals to be for this year for Hispanic Hackers. And, we want to continue to feature software and hardware technology in our month-to-month events, spread that knowledge, help with career opportunities and career development for our members by doing events like this, as well as connecting with companies that also are supporting diversity and inclusion. So a couple months ago, we did an event with Data.World, and we had actual HR hiring managers that look at these resumes and give feedback and tips, and then also we want to create community within the Hispanic community in tech and facilitating space for people to come and talk and share their experiences and how tech has shaped their lives and things like that. And we do that. We did that with our last event where we had two speakers come out and just kind of tell us about how they use tech and how to create a startup, for example, was the topic of last month. So, different events. So just definitely keep an eye out, different things that might interest you. And you don't have to be here in Austin. Like Eddie, for example, he's in Seattle, and with everything being virtual, you can literally just join from anywhere and tell your friends they can just come and hang out with us here and get some good information. So, all right, so you guys met Chico. That's when he was a puppy. He was very fluffy. Then we have Freddie. Um, and pretty much, yeah, if you want to know how to get involved with us, we're always open. We hold regular meetings on how to improve our events and organizations. We've done coding events. It's just a really great chance. Actually, believe it or not, this is actually on my resume, being a part of Hispanic Hackers, and it's something that I openly talk about in my interview process. So more on that a little bit later. But it's a great way to really network. You'd be surprised at the people who come to our organizations. It's a great place to just kind of be yourself and know that you're in good company and especially for someone who doesn't come from a traditional like engineering background, this is a great space to just talk about how it is, what's happening, what's the new hotness on the streets in the coding world in the hardware world. So yeah, so just reach out to us. And before we start this official event, we like to take pictures of our Zoom events. So if you do not wish to participate, feel free to um, turn off your cameras. But if you do wish to participate, please turn on your cameras. We like to use these pictures in our social media, and that's pretty much the extent of it. So if you like us on social media, you'll see yourself. And okay, uh, Tim, do you want to do that?
Oh,
Yeah, I can do that.
can you stop sharing your screen real quick?
And we'll
Yeah.
pause the recording. We'll pause the recording too. There we go.
Oh, I seem to have lost my slides. Oh no. 1 second, y'all. It's hard for me to switch sometimes between Mac and PC because I use a PC for work. It's like, all right, cool. Got that done. So, social events coming up. We are having a rooftop brunch here in Austin, Texas. So, if you are in the area, we're going to be in Caroline's on September 19th. It's a Sunday at 11 a.m. Chico will be there. So if y'all want to meet him and us as an added bonus, just come hang out, have brunch with us at Caroline's in downtown Austin. More to follow on that on our Slack channel and our social media as well. Just talk a little bit about the future. Our next event will be next month on Tuesday, same time and same channel. And it's going to be how to work from a Raspberry Pi. We are going to welcome back Charles. We're going to welcome back Charles. He was our speaker last month, and he's going to be talking to us about things to do with Raspberry Pi. Also, James, if you want to speak about the Developer Week, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So thanks, Laura. We had the folks from Developer Week Global reach out to us this week, and they gave us a free code. I sent out an email last night to the group. I'm gonna create an event on meetup.com. So that way, if anybody's interested in checking out Developer Week this year, it'll be September 14th, 15th. I know it's not exactly a week, but that's just the way that they do it, I guess. But yeah, it's I believe it's free to sign up. We have a code, and there's also a discount if you're looking for like the larger sign up account or membership or whatever. So just keep your eyes out for that email, and then check out our events. Probably like tomorrow or something like that. I'll have them posted for us. All right.
So it's all virtual this time, right?
I believe so.
Cool. And with this pass we get in free. It would normally cost like whatever, I don't know what amount.
Yeah.
So it's not free, but with this pass it's free. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And Developer Week, can you I don't think I've ever been, and maybe there's some other people that haven't been. What is Developer Week exactly?
So yeah, Developer Week is an opportunity for you to meet other developers, either around the world or in the area of the event. Typically, they do a hackathon where you get a chance to do a project of some sort, solve a problem, and usually it's for some sort of prize. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it might be, for a job maybe. It just depends on whatever the prize is for it. But typically, it's another good chance to meet meet employers if you're looking for work. Usually they have booths set up. For virtual, they still set up booths, and you're able to jump in and do little like one-on-one introductions with the different companies and stuff like that. But it's a good introduction and a way to network and meet either other developers or people that are hiring, or also just learn about what's going on in the tech world right now. It's a lot of fun.
Oops. All right, cool. Sorry, what just happened here? Awesome, thank you so much. We're going to post that link on the chat real quick. There you go. All right, cool. Thank you, James. Can y'all see my screen okay? Cool. All right, so we've been talking about, getting a hold of us and how we can connect. Well, this is how you get a hold of us. We have a LinkedIn, a Facebook, a Instagram. On Hispanic Hackers, we have a website, we have a Slack. So you'll see the QR code there for Slack, and or at the nearest taco truck at Capital Factory or the river. And apparently on Caroline's too. So Caroline's is now our new spot for brunch. But yeah, we like to hang around during COVID. Obviously, it was a little limited, but as we're slowly but surely getting a little bit better with vaccines and just, hopefully things are going to get better before they get worse, but we'll see. Yeah, this is all the ways that you guys can get a hold of us. So we're very active on Slack, and we monitor our Facebook page, LinkedIn, Instagram. Don't think we're on Twitter though. So, all right. Cool. Anybody have any announcements from either their jobs or any outside of like Developer Week? Anybody know of any cool things that are happening in their area or nationwide? Oh, okay. Let's see. Cool. Something that we like to do here before we get started with the main event is anybody here looking for work? We like to identify anybody that is looking for work. Just go ahead and kind of like raise your hand, let us know what you're looking for, and then we'll flip it and see who is hiring. Okay, so let's see. Jennifer, I think I saw your hand raised. Welcome to the party.
Hi, guys.
Hi,
Can you
Jennifer.
hear me? Oh, okay.
Yep, we can
Good.
hear you. So you're looking for work. What kind of position are you looking for?
So I just got finished with boot camp. I technically, yeah, for like anything full stack. Honestly, yeah, I'm open for anything. I feel like because I learned like a little bit of everything, I would be also open to like an internship as well, just to see what I'm getting myself into with different types of work, like front end versus back end. So yeah, essentially, I'm
Okay,
just trying to get my foot in the door.
awesome, awesome. Looking for some junior developer roles out there. All right, thank you so much. Saul, you can go ahead and unmute. Let us know what you're looking for.
Hey guys, hola Eddie. I am looking for either a backend or data engineering type of role. I'm currently full stack, and my background is in analytics and data science. And so I did that for about a little over 10 years. And I felt it frustrating that often I couldn't deploy my own solutions. So I wanted to learn how to do that. So I did a boot camp similarly to Jennifer, and then graduated early 2020. I'm currently working as a full stack engineer at a startup here in town in Austin. But if I were to stack our to-do swim lane on Git, 80% of it would be front end. And I'm experienced enough to know that I definitely do not want to do front end work. Like I'd rather go back to analytics. I hate it so much. So, but I'm really into back end infrastructure stuff. I mean, potentially DevOps, depending if it's like, if there's some still a lot of coding, but I do love to code. I just want to do it not dealing with the nuances of browser rendering. So that is.
Cool, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saul. I appreciate that. All right, we'll keep it going here with Antonio. Welcome.
Yes.
Let us
Yeah.
know what you're looking for.
I'm kind of in the same boat as Jennifer. I just finished the boot camp and full stack. I find myself a little bit more attracted to the front end and looking for a job doing that, or just trying to get my foot in the door to figure out what it would be like day to day, and just finding out different areas where maybe I might like to do. But for right now, I think front end, I feel pretty comfortable with that part of it, and just been taking a bunch of Udemy courses and trying to familiarize myself with other things like algorithms, data structures, and the back end, just to make sure that you kind of know the different technologies and how everything connects to make things easy. But yeah, I would really like either internship or somewhere where I can just learn and get my foot in the door so I can move forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, Josh, do you want to go ahead and unmute and let us know what you're looking for? You might be on mute, Josh. Oh, maybe not. Sorry, Josh, we can't hear you. We'll come back to you, okay, Josh? I'm so sorry if I mispronounce your name. Nakia Win?
Hi, my name is Nia. Hi all.
Yeah.
I got introduced to this group via Eddie. So shout out to Eddie Woo Woo for the introduction and welcoming us and me. Currently, I am still employed at Facebook, and which is how I met Eddie. And I'm looking for opportunities more in the software engineering role. I don't really care whether or not it's front or back end because I've done all various kinds, even mobile development too. But I care a little bit more about what the product and what I'm building rather than what stack it is. So yeah, I'm in Seattle, so I'd love to hear from you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, Chris, we want to hear what you're looking for.
Sure. I'm currently in a boot camp, or if you want to call it a course. So right now I'm in construction, trying to transition into tech. So I'm a project manager, so I have all that project management type experience. I'm trying to get into tech and then transition into a software engineering role because my boot camp / course for coding doesn't end until May of next year. So it's quite lengthy. But yeah, I'm open to project management, at least to start, then jumping in on the software development side, front or back end. All my training right now is in front end, but we're going into back end as the course progresses. So
Awesome. That sounds amazing. Yeah, so if you guys want to drop your LinkedIn or just ways that we can get a hold of you in the chat, that would be great. Thanks for sharing, Chris. Michelle, you want to go ahead and unmute and let us know
Hi,
what you're looking for?
Hi. So my name is Michelle Rea. I use she, her pronouns, and I am located in Seattle, Washington as well. And I think I came across this group on LinkedIn. I think you guys had asked a question about like how comfortable are you with like doing whiteboard interviews or something like that. And I was like, who are these people? I answered the question and I clicked on you guys and saw you guys had this going on. I was like, oh, great. But yeah, I graduated from a boot camp myself back in October of 2019. And shortly after that, I was asked to join a nonprofit organization out here in Seattle. And we teach tech to students from 3rd to 12th grade and even parents. And I teach in English and Spanish, or Spanglish sometimes, whatever my students are most comfortable with. And I have loved this job, but working at basically a startup nonprofit has a lot of challenges, and just in education and in general. And so yeah, I've just like, I think I'll still stick around doing just like working on small projects, like building curriculum and stuff like that, because my minor was education and social justice. And I just have a passion for education and mixing social justice with that. But yeah, I've been wanting to do more like coding with my life and like actually building things. So yeah, I'm looking for, I guess, since I graduated, I also have been doing like web development on the side, a lot of front end stuff. I'm opposite as of the first person that shared. I think I prefer the front end than the back end, but I know how to do both. So yeah, I'm not sure if I exactly know what I want. I've just been applying to a whole bunch of random stuff and seeing how it goes. And yeah, I have an second round interview tomorrow. So I'm like doing anything at this point to just be like practicing for interviews.
Nice, awesome. Well, we're so glad to have you. Thank you so much for sharing. Jonathan, welcome. Please let us know what you're looking for.
Can y'all hear me all right?
Yep, we can hear you.
Well, first off, thank you for having this. This is actually the first one that I've attended, so thank you.
Woo.
Based out of San Antonio, so honestly, I don't know what I'm looking for. I mean, I'm doing a boot camp. It's a self-paced boot camp. I've learned HTML, CSS, and I can tell you JavaScript has been kicking my butt. So I'm learning JavaScript and Node for the back end. But I want, like most everybody here, just want to break into the software engineer and or the tech space. I've been doing hard labor pretty much all my life, so I prefer not to do that for the rest of my life. So that's where I'm at. You know, it seems interesting. It always has. So I figured that why not give it a shot? I'm 26 and eager to learn, and even if it means being an intern as well, that sounds fun to me as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jonathan, and drive safe. Cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Chase, what are you looking for?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, can hear you just fine.
I moved to Austin a few days ago. This is my first one of your guys' events too.
Hey.
I went back to school for my second bachelor's. My first one was in biomedical engineering. The work was all right, but I really liked, I've always liked coding to an extent. So went back to school for computer science and graduated a few months ago. And now I'm just looking for roles, preferably full stack, to be honest. I don't really have an inclination towards front end or back end, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right. Thank you so much. Carlos, welcome. What are you looking for?
Hi, can everyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I had to check to see if there was another Carlos here that had also raised his hand. Hi, thanks for putting together this event. It's actually my first event. I found out through Nia actually earlier today. I just got to the Seattle area. I'm actually 1 year removed from boot camp, and I did a 1 year program at Facebook for production engineering. But I'm looking more into internal tooling specifically. So that's what I'm looking more into right now. Whether it be front end or back end for internal tooling doesn't really matter. I learned full stack at Flatiron, and I've been doing mostly back end in the past year.
And you're located in Seattle as well, Carlos?
Yes, I'm now in Seattle.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Josh,
you.
we're gonna give it another try. See if we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yay.
Great. All right. I'm a QA engineer, so I work primarily with automation, primarily with the UI front end. I've been shifting more into API testing and automation as well. That's something I'm looking to get to more as well for my next role. I'm based in Austin, and I've been doing this for the last 8 years or so.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Now, if there's no one else, pretty sure I was able to call on everybody. If there's no one else, we will flip it. So who is hiring? Whether they are hiring themselves or you know that your company is hiring and you can put in a referral. Anybody on here hiring?
So yeah, if anyone's interested in exploring opportunities at Facebook, I'd be happy to give a referral. You've come to the right event if you're interested in that, because they'll drill you on the interview, and you should prepare before that. But yeah, if just let me know. I'll drop my LinkedIn in the chat. And for everybody, also just want to say, please join our Slack and whatever you're looking for. put it in the Slack. There's a bigger group of folks there than are in this call, and keep amplifying your message. It's sometimes it took me a while to learn that you have to say things a lot of times to make sure that lots of people hear it. So just keep
Absolutely.
for folks that are looking.
Yeah. And as for me, if you're looking to explore opportunities at Amazon, I'll be more than happy to also give you a referral. And like Eddie said, it does require preparation, obviously. So you're definitely in the right place for that. And +1 to joining our Slack channel for sure. There's a whole jobs channel that we have within it. And people post resumes, hiring opportunities, all kinds of information on there. So is anyone else hiring?
So my company is hiring as well. I work for a company named Win Reality. Currently, we're looking for Unity developers, front-end developers, mobile developers. So kind of the whole jack of all trades, kind of. So I'll also drop in the link as well.
Awesome. All right, y'all.
When I see in the chat, folks are asking for a link to the Slack channel. I think you had a QR code in the other slide.
Yeah, let's see. There it is.
I can grab a link and I'll drop it in also.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
I just want to throw my name in the hat. My name is Alejandro Garcia. I currently live in Austin. Sorry, I didn't realize my mic was off and I don't have a camera on, so I couldn't really show. Kept throwing little thumbs up, but it didn't work.
Oh, sorry.
There it is.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm also a bootcamp grad. I do full stack, mainly React and Node. I have SQL experience and Mongo, DB, stuff like that. So I am looking for a job currently. So I will definitely hit up those that are actually know that there's positions available. And to everyone else who is interviewing, good luck on your second interview and all that. And thanks for having us in this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alejandro. So glad that you decided to come and join us. So, all right. Everybody posted their LinkedIn, and we have the Slack invitation on there as well. Cool. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of what interviewing and what we're going to be doing here. So, as we all know, interviewing is hard. It's very difficult. Large companies and small companies come with pluses or minuses, right? So at large companies, you have a lot of competition. There's very limited roles, and the application process is made to weed out a lot of the applicants. So it's a lot harder, obviously, to get to just even to the interview portion of it. At smaller startup companies, you have a limited amount of applicants, very limited roles, and they want to go at the speed of these large companies, and they want to, grow at scale, at least like these large companies tomorrow, for example. So getting to that interview might be a little bit easier at a startup, but the work in it of itself in your day-to-day will be possibly a lot more hassle figuring things out, and you're not going to step into a role that is already kind of predetermined for you. Some people lean into that ambiguity. Some people like to have that challenge. And then other people, you're going to come across that in larger companies, but your path in your career is going to be a little bit more linear. So Eddie and James and Tim, if you guys want to drop in and just kind of add to it before I switch slides, by all means, just because this is my first time. So just feel free to interrupt me.
Oh, good. Is there more content on the next slide, or?
There's more, yes.
Okay. Oh,
yeah. I'll just wait till the end. How about that? And then you
Yeah,
just
that works. Yeah.
you give us your words of wisdom at the end.
Yeah, perfect.
Sounds good. All right, so there are typically two software engineering specific or hardware engineering specific interview types, and it can be your take-home problems, and it can also be your coding challenge, which is what we're going to practice today, where someone gives you an algorithmic type scenario and they want to see your pseudocode, they want to see how you break apart this problem, they want to see you identify edge cases. And I'm going to say this a lot, so I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, but you must keep talking through the whole thing. Because although we are in our heads and we know what we're doing or we know what we're writing out and we think it's self-explanatory, the interviewer is not. They are not in our heads and they want to know that you can speak as you think so that it's proof that you can collaborate and share your thoughts and your ideas and your problem solving skills with others that are also in the room. So these are just the two types of interviews. Today we're going to be practicing that coding challenge. Okay, let's talk about anxiety. So based on, I'm gonna see, I kind of want to click it, but I don't want to click it, this PDF, but I'm going to click it and see what happens.
Oh,
Yes.
it's like a research paper. It's gonna.
Yeah. So if you, I mean, I'm going to post it in the chat, right? If y'all have the time and the inclination to read this this research paper, by all means. Hold on, I can't get to my do. Oh no, what did I do? Can y'all see my screen? No.
I still see the slides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're good? Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Yep. So test anxiety. So performance is reduced by more than half by simply being watched by an interviewer. So this is very true, and not just in interviewing, but in a lot of performance type events. So how we should approach interviewing is as a performance art. Think dancers, DJers, law enforcement people, singers, anything that requires you to physically do something in front of a crowd, in front of more than one person. That's how we should approach interviewing. So we prepare like a performer. And the way that they prepare, the way that they prepare is practice, practice, practice. And hopefully that is something that you can get into with your friends. There's some other, within our group, there are different avenues, online, virtual websites that you can go to where you can practice, do mock interviews, because it's not only is it the coding challenge, but it's also the soft skill behavioral piece of the interviews as well. And you know, someone's going to come up to you and ask you, well, tell me about yourself. You need to have those few lines almost memorized of like, okay, what is it that I really want to tell this interviewer about myself that's going to catch their attention, that's going to want them to want to listen more about me. So practice, practice, practice. All right. And these are some of those practice resources. There's more, so feel free to drop them in the chat. I know that there's a lot more now, especially virtual. There's LeetCode, obviously, interviewing.io. There's us, user resources. You know, so definitely in our chat, in our Slack channel, we have resume review, and in the jobs as well. You can always schedule one-on-one with us. If you just, hey, we'll ask you some questions and kind of work on that elevator pitch when you're meeting people. Work on that, who are you? What can you, or tell me about yourself? And obviously the coding challenge. Okay. So again, silence is deadly. So always talk, always speak about why you can't seem to figure out a problem. Even if you don't know how to approach this question, figure out what you do know. You know, figure out and use your voice, ask questions. Always, always, always ask clarifying questions, making sure that you understand what it is the interviewer wants from you when it comes to solving this question. What are some of the edge cases that you need to think about? Like, well, what if I do this? Then what happens? And feel free to ask those questions. I guarantee you that if you make it conversational with the interviewer, they're more than likely going to give you a lot more information than if you didn't ask anything for them at all or just ignore that they were in the room completely. You know, so again, number 2, confirm the understanding of the problem. Never just like be like, oh, okay, yeah, I've seen this 1,000 times. I know how to do it. Great. That's great that you do. But don't just go into code, because what these interviewers are looking for is not just that you know how to answer this question, but also they want to see your thought process and how you string your thoughts along, and your problem solving skills, your critical thinking skills. That's what they're really assessing as well. So, you know, ensure to restate the question. Again, ask those clarifying questions, just keep speaking. And at the end, you always want to leave time at the end of the interview. And usually your interviewer will gauge this time for you, typically. But you also want to make sure that you take responsibility and leave enough room so that the interviewer can give you some constructive feedback. You know, like actually this picture is from a video. So Google has really great content. Amazon has really great content as far as how to interview, how to do a software engineering interview. Really great tips. The STAR method is one of them. I know Amazon really harps on the STAR method, and it's basically just it's more for behavioral, but it's basically how you can formulate your responses to any behavioral type question. So again, just always be talking. OICE. All right, those of you that went through boot camp probably know about OICE, and if you don't, now you're going to learn. So when you get presented with a algorithmic type problem, you want to identify these 4 things. This is a problem-solving framework that helps you, at least if you don't know what to do, it helps you start, right? So you want to identify what is the output, what is the desired output that the interviewer wants me to solve? What is the problem, right? What is the result that I'm trying to get to? What is the input? So what information is given to me? Whether it's numbers, whether it's letters, whatever it is, identify what that input is, right? Constraints. What are my limitations? What can't I go past? What are some of, like, it's self-explanatory, right? Like, what are some constraints that I'm dealing with when trying to solve this problem? And then your edge cases. What are some exceptions? What are some errors? What are some of those things that I need to consider the if-when type of relationship that I have with this problem? Okay. And that's OICE. OICE helps, it actually helps me personally, not just in coding, but it helps me in my day-to-day trying to figure out what is the output, and what am I dealing with? Like how, like, it's a really good framework for problem solving overall. So, all right. Computer science concepts. These are topics that you need to be very familiar with when it comes to the interview piece, and that's going to be hash tables, recursion, big O notation, dynamic programming, and sorry guys, my Alexa's going nuts. I don't know what's wrong with it. Okay. Dynamic programming, trees, and trees. I would throw in there like some system design, possibly, depending on what level you're going to interview for. But if you really want to knock them out of the park, some system design might be cool. But yeah, so, and yes, we will be posting these slides for sure. Cool. In summary, we aim to reduce anxiety with practice. That is honestly, in my opinion, the best way to reduce interview anxiety is practice, practice, practice. You want to practice in a simulated environment. If you're going to go to a mock interview or if you're going to participate in our event today, we just ask that you take it seriously as if you were truly getting interviewed. It's really good practice, even if you know the answer, even if you've seen it, and you've done 20,000 problems in leak code. It's just always good practice. It's like exercising a muscle, you know. Adopt some type of problem-solving framework. The OICE is just a framework. It's a popular one, but there are plenty more. There's plenty of research that you can do to find other problem-solving frameworks. Again, think aloud. No matter how silly it may sound to you, it'll allow your interviewer to see inside your mind and see your problem-solving skills. And it might even prompt them to kind of nudge you in the right direction. So remember, silence is deadly. And first, explain back the problem. So explain the problem as you understand it when you're first given the problem. That way, there's no misconceptions of you're solving for the wrong thing, or, it also gives you time to think. Honestly, if you just repeat what you just heard, it kind of gives you time to process and think about what the problem truly is. Do not dive first into the code. Again, even if you've done this problem 1,000 times, do your pseudocode, let that interviewer into your brain and see how you break apart a problem. And then know the concepts, know your recursion, know your big O notation especially, know your trees, know your different data structures. So let's see. All right, now the brilliant Eddie, James, Tim, if anyone wants to jump in, please do. And bless us with your knowledge.
No, you did plenty good. That's great. There's not a whole lot that I want to add to that. I would only say, always be talking, ask questions, establish a dialogue, and and keep in mind all the rest of the stuff that Laura said.
Cool. Any tips, James?
No, I mean, everything you said sounds really good. That's exactly what you should do. Use your resources. That's really important, especially for people that are transitioning careers. I know right now it's difficult to do networking and things of that nature, but take advantage of what resources you do have through your schools. If you're doing a coding boot camp, I did a coding boot camp, and they had resources that I was able to take advantage of. Look at different meetup groups. We don't have to be your only exclusive group. There's a lot of other groups out there that do similar things in different languages, in tech languages and whatnot. And even if you're trying to go the freelancing route, go to groups, go to events that you might be the only developer there. You can go in there and try to solve the problem for whoever has that problem. You could be that person for them. So yeah.
Cool. Guillermo, I see your hand up, and then Saul will get to your comments and your questions.
Laura, I just had a comment, but I can go after Saul and Tim. I just had a general comment.
No, it's fine, Guillermo. Go ahead.
Oh, anyway, yeah, I just want to say thanks for all this. This is great stuff. I also just recently went through, I think like 4 on-site interviews, so it was pretty brutal. And one thing that I think often is overlooked and I wish I had done before is just, and I think it happens in parallel with the technical interviews, is negotiating. Most of and then I mean, that could be its own little thing, I think, its own talk.
Yeah.
But I know just a shout out to like levels.fyi if you haven't visited this site to check out salary ranges. And even they help you with negotiating. They'll have somebody that'll help you negotiate, especially those that are coming from boot camps. Definitely make sure you know the salaries in different regions. Everything starts from the moment the recruiters start asking you how much do you want to get paid, right, to the point where they're pushing you. And as an MBA friend always said, you always negotiate. So anyway, just wanted to just kind of randomly bring that up. And yeah, but yeah, this is great stuff, by the way. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Guillermo. Appreciate that. And yeah, definitely. I think we're looking at doing the salary negotiation event in the future. So what we do is we kind of like break it apart. So we do the soft skill interview and then or the behavioral interview, and then we do technical, and we do need to do something for salary negotiation for sure. Could definitely be its own whole event. So to Saul's in the chat, so if you guys saw what he wrote, like, why do we need to practice if we're already been engineers at a FANG company? And Eddie's right. I mean, we've passed one interview. You never know when we might need to do another one. For example, if you're up for promotion, you still have to interview for it. If you're trying to switch from one role to another, one team to another, at least at Amazon, you still have to go through that interview loop. So it's not something that it's not like we do leak code type algorithms for work. It's very specific, right, to whatever product we're working on or whatever project we're working on. So personally, that's why I feel like it's a good muscle to exercise. Is just to in the military we say to stay frosty, right? So you stay frosty, and it's not always easy to answer at the drop of a hat the who are you, what do you bring to the table type of thing. Especially if you get so caught up in work. Preparing for an interview it's easier for others, obviously. But I always, like I said, I just think that it's a muscle that can be exercised anytime. So that's just personally.
So are you saying that if you're at one of your guys, these FANG companies, you're going from L4 to L5, you're going to go through another data structure and algorithm interview?
If it's applicable.
Because let's be clear, like I feel like that's what we're all really here. Like the behavioral interview stuff, and like you get enough practice, you figure it out. But the data structures and algorithms part, that's the real filter, and that's what I think most people really need practice on. That's why there's like all this leak code and hacker rank crap out there.
Well,
there's not that for behavioral interviews, because it's like, okay, like with enough experience, you kind of figure it out, the behavioral interview. But the data structure and algorithm stuff, unless you're studying, you're not going to get it. And what's more, in my view, more like Kafkaesque, is that you could be like a 20-year engineer actually doing work, but if you haven't picked up cracking the coding interview and you're going to interview, then you might not know anything. Like they don't do that for like a master plumber, for instance. Like when you're a master plumber for 20 years, they're not going to ask you about fluids and shit or whatever. So that's what we're really talking about here. And so what I'm curious about, like, well, you already passed the FANG interview. You already know like all the, pre-order this or post-order that and linked list, whatever. Like, so why do you have to, like, that's the part I don't know. Why do you have to practice? Like, if you already passed the FANG technical interview, you already did all the resources you needed to pass that first FANG interview. So you know what to do already, don't you?
Yeah, but a couple of things, right? The important thing to understand is the job is different. Doing the job is different from doing the interview. And if you're good at the job, doesn't mean you're going to be good at the interview. That's just reality. There's a, I've spoken a lot in public. You could probably find it if you looked hard enough. Where I just trashed this whole style of interviewing. There's no good test. I think it's actually a really hard problem if you kind of explore it all. How do you evaluate people? How do you establish a filter if you're a big company and you get like 100,000 applications and you got 2,000 openings? I don't know. It's a hard problem to solve for them, but also the process is not perfect. And it's unfortunately the case that you can be really good at your job. And I know people that have been really good, like just like you say, 20 years, like Colonel Hacker, just freaking brilliant people, and they can't pass the freaking interview to save their lives. They're terrified, and it's because it's a different. Yeah, it uses the same knowledge that you might have in your head, but like Laura was saying, you have to practice this, or you're not going to pass it.
No, and I get that, but my question is, well, you already know that because you already got an offer at Facebook as an engineer, so you already did it once. And if you're rusty, fine, you go do it again. But you already know what to do, is my point. Versus like if you just got out of boot camp, like I remember when I got out of boot camp, I didn't even know what leak code was. I didn't know what the instructions were. Like I'd never heard of the linked list before. So I was really fresh, and then I was like, okay, I need to kind of understand how these types of work. Versus someone that's already done that, and all you got to do is refresh yourself. Like you know what you got to do. So that's what I'm like wondering, like why are those people here?
Well, they need practice too. We all need, and
Yeah, this is how they refresh. So yeah, and like I said, some people practice differently. You'd be surprised, honestly, how many people struggle. They can do the algorithmic stuff, like riding a bike, but they cannot speak out loud. They cannot explain their thought process. That's also a soft skill that they lose that practice for. It may seem incredulous to other people, but to some people, it's very difficult to walk in a room and explain their genius, basically. It is shocking, but it's true.
But yeah,
all right, y'all. Sorry, go ahead, Eddie.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, for folks that are graduating from boot camp, yeah, you folks have to sort of do this for the first time, and there's a huge difference, right? It is easier if you've done it before than if you've never been on the spot, and a lot of times the first failure can be really demoralizing, and that's why we're here. We want to avoid that, and a lot of times, like I've known people that have been demoralized by a first failure after having been in a job for more than 20 years. Like I've seen that happen with specific people. So just because somebody has been in a spot for a while, like doing something, like their experience interviewing might be actually like as noob as a person like who just got out of boot camp.
And I just say one thing for my fellow boot camp grads, that as Eddie said, like the system is broken, but you got to work with the system. And the way I work with the system is that you'll notice that once you get that first job, and maybe it's different. Like when I graduated, it was the middle of the pandemic. So like only FANG people were hiring. And so I had to like learn this system. Eventually, when you change your LinkedIn and you put that first software engineering role, you're going to get harassed on LinkedIn like you won't believe. Everybody wants to interview now. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't really want another job, but I want practice. So yeah, I'm going to interview. So you just keep interviewing with like actual interviews, and you see the different types of interviews, because data structures and algorithms is one kind of interview. There are other kinds of interviews where it's like, here's this repo, clone it, add this feature, where it has nothing to do with this kind of stuff. So practice that type of interview as well. So yeah, they make you go through the ringer. Well, make them go to the ringer too and waste their time. Shit, like why not?
Yeah, I just wanted to contribute to the conversation. I know here we're really focused on the coding and the interview aspect, but I like to offer my experiences kind of more of a bigger perspective. So, like what Eddie was saying, like this whole process, they're trying to figure out who you are basically in an hour or two. So yeah, it's not going to be a perfect system. You just need to show them who you are and what you can do. And if it works out, great. If it's a good culture fit, awesome. But, it's a numbers game at the end of the day, is what I've came to realize. I did about 50 interviews before I landed my first job. I've known people that did 300 interviews. So if there's something with the process, it's not perfect. It's hard to pinpoint exactly where you did wrong, or maybe there's something with the company. So really just keep focusing on yourself and keep trying, And to Saul's point about why do we keep learning? Well, it's because the future keeps changing. So I'll give you a very simple example. I don't know anything about blockchain, but when I was watching a course about it, I learned things I never learned before, and it does tie back into concepts that I should have known before, but maybe it got skipped or I was focused on something else. So it's like, why do we go to church, right? It's to remind ourselves to be good people. You know, humans are forgetful. We're not perfect creatures. We're not computers. So that's what my opinion is. And just keep trying. You know, it's not a natural process, in my opinion. We're not spent, you know, meant to, you know, study hacking the coding interview, you know, show up and recite, you know, the whole whatever algorithm that they're asking for. So yeah, just keep trying, and you'll land that first job. After that, it'll be a lot easier.
I have a question for, if it's okay if I can ask one, unless we have to jump in real fast, but this is basically for those who have already landed jobs, and for us who have come out of a boot camp. You know, you come out of, when you do a boot camp, they kind of teach you a little bit about everything, right? So you don't know a lot of stuff in depth. And as time goes on, it's kind of like a snake chasing its tail. You know, you're starting to learn one thing and you get really in depth, but then the other thing kind of fades away and you forget. So what is your advice in the sense of, when do you pull the trigger to start just taking interviews? Like, just go now, and then after the interview, you know you're going to fail most likely, and just kind of start figuring out where your weaknesses are, or you just get lucky on one, or whatever, you know, do you know what I mean? That's kind of you know, it's dealing a lot with the imposter syndrome, you know, trying to overcome that, get that confidence. You know, that's definitely one reason why I'm here, for sure. But I kind of wanted your input, your insight on how you guys kind of overcame that, and what's your advice? Like, you know, just start going for it, just start interviewing, doesn't matter. And yeah, just don't take it personal. And one thing I want to add real quick, before anybody says it, just something I saw interestingly on LinkedIn, that book that Saul was talking about, the cracking the coding interview. I think it's, from what I understand, it's like based in Java or something like that, which is not bad if you're going to read it, and it's good to look at other code. But someone that I saw posted on LinkedIn, someone has basically converted the problems to JavaScript and posted put it in a GitHub repo. So I'm going to just paste that. I haven't looked at it, but it's going to be there in the chat for whoever wants to look at it. And that's
amazing.
It, 2 cents.
Awesome.
Thanks. So I'd like to talk on to answer your question a little bit. I was a transfer from a different industry into development. And I struggled a lot trying to find my first web developer job. It was hard for me. But what I did do was I was out on the streets. I did freelancing, and I found something that I was interested in, and I stuck with it. And as I built experience up and as I got better, I leveled up. As I found something else I was really interested in, I incorporated that into my skill set. And then as I was hired to my full-time position, I still look for other opportunities for things that I can learn, and kind of just keep adding to that list of my skill set that I like and that I enjoy. So it just takes practice, and it takes working at it.
Yep.
All
right, guys. Sorry.
Sorry, real quick. I would also say these interviews, they're designed around a college computer science curriculum. That's kind of the origin of them. So yeah, practicing and getting out there and trying it and failing until you don't fail is basically how it works. Equip yourself with the knowledge that you get from a computer science curriculum in college. You don't, yeah, if you go to college, you get it. There's other ways to learn that without going to college. Cracking the coding interview is like a condensed version of that kind of content. Take Coursera, take courses like that. Yeah, algorithms, data structures, that's all just undergrad computer science stuff. And boot camps teach you some of that. Like you said, they cover a lot of everything, and they're very practical, and they'll really help you in the job, because the job is all about practical stuff. The interview is kind of about theoretical stuff. It's just how it crumbles down. But
and Alejandro, I'd just like to add a couple of things. One, the imposter syndrome is something that may never go away. I've met and learned people that have honors degrees and CS are founders of billion-dollar companies. Like I know a guy that founded a company that went through a founding round recently of over $250 million, and he has imposter syndrome. And the reason is that our chosen craft is very transparent. You post up on GitHub, you see the work you do, and there is always going to be someone that might know one thing better than you. And look, you could be the greatest cardiologist in the world, but you may not know about dermatology. But in software engineering, it's kind of like, oh, you're full stack. You're supposed to know everything about the back end, everything about the front end. Well, that's BS. Nobody knows everything about everything. And so maybe that's what causes that issue of like that imposter syndrome, that there's always going to be somebody that knows something. And so you just got to like, just focus on yourself. Are you better than yourself yesterday? You learn a little bit something every day. Great. I, for one, I practice leak code every freaking day, whether I'm interviewing or not, because it's like a muscle. You just got to like practice it. And when it comes to the interviews, another thing that I found with experience was that, again, this is one type of interview. Many small and medium-sized companies do not interview this way. This is an academic style interview because the FANGs, for many reasons, and I think some of them are very valid, chose to interview this way, because they're very objective and they're very measurable, which can protect them against lawsuits. It can also help them abstract away the actual role and then fit you in different teams later on and all this kind of stuff, all these different reasons why they do it. Versus a small or medium-sized company, they're hiring you for a role. And so they will test you on like React, for instance. They're not going to care about whether you could traverse a linked list or not. And so you should always practice both things, the craft of actually building something, but then also the academic part of the data structures and algorithms, which tend to happen mainly on bigger companies. Like a lot of startups, man, they don't test this way. They test with like, hey, resolve this response and like render it on the browser. It's like stuff like that they'll test. And so don't sweat it. Maybe I know plenty of developers that have been doing it for decades that refuse to take the data structures and algorithms question. They talk to a recruiter and they're like, what's your technical interview like? Oh, you got to do this data structure. Oh, no thanks. See ya. And they don't even handle it anymore. And you could choose that path as well if you like. You could just get really good at your practical stuff. There are companies that do not do this kind of interview, and you can get a job as a software engineer if you only focus on that. That's also a possibility. Just want to let you know that because I didn't know that coming out of a boot camp.
That's a very good point, and I appreciate that perspective because I have seen a lot of graduates, that people that I studied with, that did the program with, and they landed a job for sure. And for me, it's definitely stuck like, trying it. I guess it's like preparing for the FANG, but there is that other kind of company that might not be doing that. You could potentially get your foot in the door a lot easier going that route than trying to always prepare for a large company, right? So that is good advice for sure.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, in the interest of time, I am going to go ahead and break you all apart into breakout rooms. And if you don't feel comfortable being watched, then please exit the breakout room and meet me in the main room, and then we will reshuffle everyone and then give you individual time. So just bear with me while I do the thing here. I'm putting about, let's see. Okay. Cool. Hey, Jennifer, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right.
Sorry, I just heard about them. I literally went on Meetup today and I saw it and I was like, oh, I'm gonna join, but I'm not
You
ready
can just
to do.
watch. You can just watch though.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. You can just watch.
Got
Here,
it.
I'll put you in Tim's room.
Okay.
Let's see. How do I do that? Let's see. Girl, I don't know. I do not use.
I think I can join the one I was in.
Can you go back? Is that an
Yeah.
option? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
In the bottom it says. Alrighty.
Okay, yeah.
Thank
go
you.
back. No problem. Hey, Jonathan.
How are you, ma'am?
Good. Are you, did you not want to watch either?
I mean, I can. That's perfectly fine. I mean, I'm not really comfortable with functions nor JavaScript, so I'm still trying to get my confidence up. I guess I can
Oh
watch.
no, it's totally fine. You can just be in the room and watch as other people go around and just be a spectator. Like that's what I did when I first did this event 2 years ago. It was in person, but I just like sat there and watched other people do the interview process.
Sure, I could do that. I mean, I just
Okay.
didn't know. I didn't want to participate in it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Just let did you come from Tim's room?
I think his name was James.
Oh,
Maybe?
James. Yeah, just let him know that you're just gonna spectate.
Okay, sounds good. Thank
Totally
you.
fine. No problem. I think you can send yourself back to the room.